exactly how I had it written.
All right, guys, let's see here. What do you check for if you can use z-scores?
Yeah.
So we got 322 times what? 845, and then 322 times what's Q? 155. I like it. What do you guys get? 276. 272. 0.09. That's 5. And then greater than 5. Check. So yes. Huh? No, that's fine. Technically, I'm asking, can you? But if you get this, you put a little check mark or something. That's beautiful. What do I need to find the rejection region? What do I know? Alpha's 0.10. It's a two-tail. I know I can use z-scores. That's awesome. So you should get good old. What do you guys get? 6 for 5, like. So you look at two-tail. I think I gave away my last t-score chart. If you look at two-tail, go to 0.10, go all the way down. You should see 1.645. And you're starting to remember some of these numbers, aren't you? You can't help it. And now, so how do I say this in words? Let me shade this in so I got a nice visual. If my z star ends up being
Greater than
or
less than.
yeah, just basically you're saying in words what the shading is, right? Because the shading is the rejection region. Then we can reject the null, support the left. Okay. So n is 322. We had 282 successes. What'd you get for this? 876. So 0.876, that's our data, minus the supposed middle, which is 845, divided by square root. Yeah, 1.5 something. 4? Yeah. You guys okay with that? Now, real quick, a really common mistake is to put 0.876 here, and then you would put 0.124 here. So you use p hat and q hat. If you would have done that, you would have gotten 1.68. You would have rejected the null, and you would have been wrong. We're assuming that this is correct, and we're trying to show a contradiction. So you can't put this number. You can't assume this is correct. We know this ain't correct because it came from a sample. More than likely, it ain't this. But our sample information, we want to see if it's enough evidence that it's far enough away. And in this case, no. Assuming that's the middle, that did not get far enough away. Right? I kind of gave it away, but we didn't make it, did we? Aw. We're 154, so we're outside of there. Pop! Now let's see if you guys get this. So right there, I know the answer. But if I wanted to write this in a journal article, I'd have to figure out the p-value. Well, what's the answer right now to this? We did what? We failed to reject. You never accept of the whole, right? And you fail to support the ha. So you just failed everything. So either you succeed and you reject the O, support the ha, or you fail both of those. So we got a candidate for the p-value. It's not exactly the same as before. There's one little thing that changes, but when you look up 154, what do you get within this tail? 0.06. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah, there you go. 0618, right? So that's not the p-value though. The one little thing is, remember the p-value, The p-value is the same kind of as the alpha. They both mean the area and the tail or tails of z-scores. So I cut the alpha in half. So to see what alpha is, I'd have to double this. So I do the same. If the p-value is a two-tailed test, you just double that to get the p-value.
So it'll be 0.381.
It'd be 0.1236.
Oh.
Just double it. So the p-value is going to be twice 0.0618, 0.1236. So that makes complete sense why we failed. Is that really tiny chance? No. It's 12%, man. It's not really tiny.
Wait, where did you get to?
If you look up 1.54, so the p-value, the first step for the p-value is always find the area and the tail that your z-score makes.
Okay.
And then in this case, it's a two-tailed test, so you got to double it.
That's like the only reason why you do it, 'cause it's two-tailed.
Yep.
If it's one tail, you would have left it on
Yep.
Wait, what? 1 point.
What?
How did you do the p-value?
Are you cool with the 0.0618? Are you cool with the 0.0618?
How did you do it?
Okay.
From the.
Yeah, 1.54.
Oh,
54. That's my z-score. I get this, but then I got to do 1 minus that, of course, to get the area above. That's the area below, but I want the area in the tail, so 1 minus that is 0.0618.
If you wanted to go bigger, you have to
It's a two-tailed test, so you double that bad boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So my conclusion now, which language are we going to use? What was my claim?
That p equals 2.
Yeah, so it was the host. So which language am I going to use?
We have not found sufficient evidence to reject them.
Yeah, I'm going to use this language. I like it. So we have not found it. I like it. We failed. We have not found sufficient evidence. Two. Reject, right? Because that's the phrase I'm going to build this off of, because I have to reference the claim, and the claim was the home. So I got to use the phrase that references the claim. So we have not found sufficient evidence to reject the claim that what?
Wait, I thought you did. Because isn't 1.527, isn't that?
What's 1527? Okay.
I mean,
so-
sorry.
Isn't the claim the Hala English?
No.
Confused.
What's the claim? I mean, if that was a problem way up here, that should have been asked
And that's
way up
right,
here.
right?
So,
Yes. Is this cool?
We're supporting that.
no, yeah, that's
All
right.
Let me try this again. All right.
So why are you rejecting your claim?
Nope.
I mean,
No,
you're
I am not rejecting shit, because what's the very first thing I say in my conclusion? We have not found evidence to reject it. So am I rejecting
I
it?
said-
No. We haven't found enough evidence to reject it. It's like finding somebody innocent. We have not found sufficient evidence to show that this person is guilty.
I think she's asking, like, why can we write it like we have found?
I thought you were supposed to write it like to support.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Okay. What's the claim? What's the claim? What's the claim?
Claim is that P equals,
And which one is that?
that's the hope.
Good. So you have to use the language that references the hope, because that's what the claim is.
But why did you write it
What?
failed to reject?
And let's do this one step at a time. Oh, why did I? Okay.
I thought, why can't
If
you
I
write like
get, now watch, are you cool with the step up here where I tell myself what to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're cool with that, you have to be cool with that. Did we make it?
No.
So we failed to do these. That's all I'm saying. Did we do these? Nope, we failed to do them.
So it's
because we're like always testing the HA? Is that what it is?
Sure, but it's also because you can never show evidence for the hoe, right? Again, if I take a sample, I can't show evidence that the mean equals something or the percentage equals something from a sample because the sample will almost always be different from what reality is.
I think I get what she's trying to say. I think she's saying, why can't we write, we have found sufficient evidence to support the claim?
Because we didn't.
No.
Because what's be careful, guys. Sure, we found evidence to support the ha, didn't we? Right? You guys, we didn't. Wait, in this case we didn't. We didn't even do that. I'm not sure what you're trying to make.
To support the vote.
Never. Really, please, step back. What's the ho? What do you always put there?
Reject
the
the claim.
No. What always has to end up in the null hypothesis? The statement that has an. We can do this. What do I put in the HO? If it has a what in it? An equal sign. Can you ever show evidence that something equals something using a sample? No. We had a semi-large discussion about that, right? So I know everything's coming at you fast and furious, but you have to, and that's not a reference to this. I've never seen any of this.
Pretty
I
good.
live life. The return of Sandra. I don't give a shit. So we can never say that we support the null because that's not the purpose. What's the only thing this test can do? Show evidence against the null or fail to do that. That's all it can do. So if you're exonerated by a trial and you are found not guilty, does that mean you are innocent? In fact, that's why we say it like that. You are not guilty. Doesn't mean you're innocent. We just couldn't find enough evidence to say you were guilty. So you're not. We fail to reject your innocence. We don't say, yeah, you're innocent. No, we don't know what the reality is, do we? Are there people walking that should be in jail? Yes. Are there people walking that should be dead, maybe, based on our current system? Yes. But we accept that. We have to. Because we can't be perfect. I don't know if that helps. Right, so you never use the word accept anywhere. Because again, the whole purpose of this is to reject the null or fail to reject the null. Right? If the claim is the alternate hypothesis, I have to word my conclusion based on that. In this case, the claim was the null, right? So everybody agrees with me, we didn't make it in there, so we failed to do both of these. Right? We failed to do both of those because we didn't make it in. Is that cool? Yes. Hold on. So we did not make it in. So we failed to do both of those things. The claim was the null, so I'm going to use this language to write my conclusion. Whoever asked me to do this analysis, like we're statisticians, we're consultants, and they come to me with a claim, when I tell them my results, I better reference their claim. Or they're going to be like, what are you talking about? I think this, I want to come back and say, well, that's wrong. I have to reference their claim. I have to tell them if the claim looked right or not. So that's why the results have to always be written in terms of what the claim was. I love you guys. So that I try to show you, the only things you could do is reject the null or fail to reject the null. That's the two things you could do.
Yeah, but with terms to the conclusion, wasn't there a conclusion that you wrote that you support?
All day long, sure. All day long. But the only time I'm going to say support is if the claim was which one? The ha. Right? If the claim is the ha, what word goes with it? Support. Right? So you are right. We did not find evidence to support the alternate hypothesis. But why would I write that when the dude's claim was the null? I want to tell him what the hell happened with his claim, not with the opposite of what you said. No, I don't. Tell me about what I said. Right? Maybe. So everybody gets freaked out about exactly how to write the conclusion, but it's staring you in the face. If you accept that These are the two things. These are the two things that can happen. You either do these things or you fail to do those things. Then what I do is I circle the one that relates to my claim. And then that's exactly the language I use. Fail, we have not found sufficient evidence to. Reject, the claim that, and then I copy the claim.
If you fail to make a conclusion, have you failed everything?
What do you mean?
If I didn't do like, I didn't give you the conclusion like the way we're arguing here.
Oh, I see.
Does it mean that I failed the whole question?
Do you, okay, so I know this is condensed, but we have been together for going on 3 weeks now, right? Or at the end of today is gonna be 3 weeks. Do you guys know me enough? Am I a partial credit kind of guy? Yeah, oh, I love you guys. Some of you guys are shaking your head no, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Do I do Scantron tests? Do I give, if you miss a point, do I take all the points off? No. Good Lord, no. In fact, I told you I double the points, so I have more room for partial credit. Right? So I give partial credit like crazy. So if you get all the steps right, except you write the conclusion wrong, you will only lose points on the part that's wrong. You're welcome. That's why any supposed math teacher that uses a Scantron, and I don't care if this math teacher, you love this teacher, they're amazing, they use a Scantron, they are not a math teacher. They aren't. If they don't see the work that went into the answer, they are not looking at the correct shit, they are not a math teacher, they need to stop. They just do. You guys, I don't care if you agree with me or not, to be honest, because it's just the reality. The work is most important. So yeah, if you do all the work right, you get the completely right idea, and you make one little mistake at the end, you might not lose any points based on how bad the mistake is, but I grade heaviest on concept. Yeah. That's why Scantron would suck for me. I wouldn't know what was going on. Yeah, all right. Woo! Yes. Sure.
Okay, so the p-value, when you found like the answer for the 1.5.
Yep. Doubled it. Why? Because there's
There's 2.
two terms.
Okay. And then does that, like what does that mean?
Okay. So,
Sorry.
no, it's beautiful. All right. What that means is, so alpha in this case was 0.10, right? Right? Alpha was 0.10. That's kind of like the accepted percent possibility. We got 0.1236. So I really want you to understand, when I very first started statistics, I actually didn't really understand why we did the p-value at all, to be honest. When I first started looking at it, I'm like, I already know the answer. Why do I need the freaking p-value? The p-value is actually more important because it tells me how strong of a test I would have passed. If alpha would have been 0.13, I would have passed it. Because the p-value is smaller than that. So that's another way. You can either compare z-scores, compare the 1.54 to the 1.645, we can just see that we didn't make it. Or you can compare percentages. So since the p was greater than alpha, we failed. Now I really want this to make sense. Really, what it is if my z star is further away, is that cool? Then obviously I succeeded. I found evidence. Everybody with me? Whose tail is bigger? This guy's tail or this guy's tail? Well, let's see. Star or not star? That star is bigger, right? So if alpha is bigger than p, then that means you got farther away. They're saying the same thing. So if alpha is bigger than p, you would reject the null. If p is bigger than alpha, you would fail to reject the null. And to be honest, it's exactly analogous to comparing z-scores. I can either compare how far I made it, or I can compare how big the tail is. Yes?
To help us write the conclusion, do we always look at whatever comes after the word claim in the paragraph?
Well, that's why I make this my first step. So I don't always have to go back and reinterpret the paragraph. I've already interpreted the paragraph right
Yeah,
there.
but I'm saying like when we write the claims, when it was claim that, we use
Oh, sure,
the
yeah.
portion, so
When you
whatever
write the
after word
claim, Yeah, it's whatever somebody says they believe. you find that piece of the problem that says we think or we feel or we believe, okay, that's a claim. Or even just we claim that, okay, cool, that's a claim. I want to write that in Mathish. And then the next step is, which one does it go into? The null or the alternate? Okay, I like it. Okay, you guys look properly beat up. Okay, let me show you this. I found a couple studies. They're not terribly exciting, but oh well. I hate it. So many freaking studies are. If you pay some, I'll let you see my shut up. So you can see your freaking results. Oh. So here's one about. Oh, what was this one about? Let's see. I think this is the one that. Oh, this is one about certain drugs. Anticholinergic. I don't even know. Drug exposure and the risk of dementia. So certain kind of drugs might increase your chance of dementia. Okay. So if you go down, there's a few things you can see as you scroll down. I see some, what is this here? $95 confidence interval. Yeah, you can see them all over the flipping place. So very early in an article, you'll see a bunch of those, just to describe the demographics of their group. Let's see, you get the introduction. They talk about how they put the design together. They even talk about, where to go, confounding variables. And then here's the analysis. So right here, look what they say. We used p less than 0.01, two-tailed, to determine statistical significance. That would be evidence. So wherever they say later in their results, if they say it was statistically significant, that means that the p-value they calculated was less than 0.01, which is pretty tiny. Are you guys with me? That's a good evidence that something changed. This is a very small chance that the results they got were just because of random happenstance. It more than likely is evidence that something's different. So what they're going to compare is groups of people that use certain kind of drugs versus groups of people that didn't, and then see the differences in the percentage of dementia cases between the two groups. That's one thing that this study would do. And they can see how different are they. Is it evidence that one is different than the other one, and that's going to be related to the p-value. So anything they said was statistically significant, they got a very small p-value for it. Is that proof that there's a difference in those cases? Oh, hell no. And that's why you would want another independent group to redo this with their own sample and get the same results. That would be even stronger evidence that it was true. Everybody's sort of with me. That's why you always want to make sure if you see something like this, normally when you see this in a magazine or something, or in, I don't even know what young people look at anymore nowadays, on the onlines, on the internet. You guys get information like the little blurbs on Facebook, and all they give you is a freaking headline. Or not Facebook, what is it nowadays? Screw it. You guys get news still? You know what news is? Some of it isn't fake. All right. So wherever you see that, they give such surface level shit. And I'm just hoping that at least you guys are like, I wonder how they picked their sample, or how many people do they talk to, or something. That you're like, wait, I don't know if I'm going to totally believe what you're saying because I can't see how you did this. That is one of the main things I want you to get out of this class, is that you should want to dig deeper. Right? Maybe. Or at least be aware that you should be able to dig deeper, or else you can't accept what they're saying. You just can't. Okay, maybe. This other one was, you guys know what helicopter parent means?
Yes.
All right. Some of you guys maybe have a helicopter parent. That just means they kind of hover over you and they're involved in your life much more than you might want them to be. Or thank God I teach in college so I don't have to deal with parents at all. Love that shit. All right, somebody call me like, oh, that's nice, talk to your kid. Beep. Anyway, so this has the same kind of thing, I think. Where'd it go? There's the methodology and the results. Here we go. So there you go. Look at that P. That's a crazy big ass piece. That's not evidence of any difference. This is something we're going to talk about really soon. This is the chi-square stuff. That's the one related to what it would look like if I plotted all the sample, all the standard deviations. Anyway, just to show you a couple examples of what we're doing in here is immediately applicable to what the journal articles and statistical analysis would have to show you. Whew, is it time? You guys want to take a break? Yeah, so do I. Come back 10:35.